Hey Saber fans, I got a lovely reveal for you today. Kr Sabers OWK. His first run, so far his only run of Phantom Menace OB1s. Beautiful setup for the switches. The setup he used for these switches is out of this world friendly. Proffie version 2.2. Neopixel. Those awesome Daniel Newman blade styles.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Quick ignitions. Force effects.
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
It might be hard to pick up on the screen, on the camera, but it's got kind of a light blue down here, and then it's the royal blue up through. This is running a 28mm. That's the biggest advantage, and I have yet to see anybody else do this on an TPM OB1 while maintaining that slimness. This is so slim. Such a wonderful hilt. The fact that he was able to squeeze a 28mm speaker in this, absolutely astounding. I mean, it's perfect. Got it nice and hollowed out for it. Perfect fit. One thing I would have liked to have seen though is if you undo the bottom of the pommel, you have a threaded section for a recharge port. I would have loved to see that incorporated instead of having to spin this shroud around. But I understand, you get a 28mm speaker there, it doesn't leave room for any wires. It is a very good fit. Look at all that sound venting too. Like, it's even louder whenever you have this off because you have that additional hole. But still, even with that on, all the sound venting it gets through these little grooves on the side, fantastic. I mean, you can get a Saber Forge Obi-Wan and get a 28mm speaker in there, but it's not going to be anywhere near as accurate. Like, to my knowledge, this is a very accurate Obi-Wan. It's got the appropriate bezel. The red button is absolutely gorgeous. Nice knurling. The setup for the switches is what astounds me the most. Essentially, underneath this is like a U-shape aluminum holder that is threaded for these two pieces, and then there's two switches underneath that. So these are just the plungers, and you can also dial in the set screws which are attached to both of these in order to get the perfect depth. So, set them to where you like, throw a little bit of Loctite on there, blue of course, don't use red, you'll never get it off again. And there you have it.
The Force is with you, young Skywalker. But you are not a Jedi yet.
Of course, you have music tracks. Nice pale white there, going up into a light blue. Little green friend. I love this font.
Leader of Death Watch.
Went mute. Double tap is mute. Fantastic. Smash Bros. Had to have Smash Bros on here. I love the walk up. It's so awesome. Wonder why that font's not working.
Don't insult me.
See, this is the Fallen Order font from Jesse Kirkbride, Kyberphonic Fonts. A lot of the fonts that I use now are from him because they're just so good.
You have failed me, Inquisitor.
Creon. So dope.
You think I'm gonna let you walk away with the holocron? You think I'm gonna let you walk away with the holocron?
There's a lot of goodies on that font.
And the grand prize winner!
The Hypnotoad.
So fantastic. And battery level indicator.
Only a Sith deals in
And
absolute.
then back to the first font.
I will do what I must.
And of course, you know, had to have Battle of the Heroes on here. So
Obi-Wan
I think on this one I've done Duel of the Fates. Huh.
The Force is with you. I claim this.
Why don't I have Duel of the Fates on here?
Don't
You
insult
got
me.
me. That is a baffler to me. That's almost like a mandatory soundtrack to have on this, is Duel of the Fates. At least you got Battle of the Heroes on there, right? Besides, whoever this ends up with in the end, they will be able to change it around easily. So this has the stock neopixel PCB.
You have failed me,
Oh.
Inquisitor.
And the grand prize. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. I will do what I must.
So, you've already seen the speaker access. For recharge port and board access, just gotta take off the cover tech with the supplied Allen heads. You'll notice that the shroud still doesn't want to move. You gotta take the other Allen head, screw it in just a little bit, screw it in just a little bit more. It's easier to see in person. Actually, I got the wrong Allen head for this. I guess while I'm at it, I'll show you this lovely box it came with. So Kr Sabers has these wonderful boxes. QC passed on it, you know, just for additional beautiful box. KR in one replica. Some of the best replicas on the market, hands down. Got this extra screw. Got these additional bezels for this. I went with the flat ones just because I like those more. And I think these are the harder ones that aren't necessary, but he included them with anyways. So I think it comes with 4 Allen heads. I'm pretty sure this is the one I need. Whoop. Yep, that's the winner. So, ta-da! So this is the Eco chassis from Goth that Kr Sabers is selling. You can even take this all the way off if need be. So I actually used E6000 on this speaker to keep it in place because I found that whenever you would unscrew the pommel section, sometimes it would move it around. So I did E6000 to keep it held. So there's your battery, your recharge port, and your board. A very clean install. Easy enough board access. And yeah, there's just so much I like about this. Yes, I did use hot glue to hold this in place because it was, moving and shifting around. I was like, you know what, I'll just throw a little bit on the sides, and it's solid now. There's nothing moving on this. Like I said, I used Loctite on these. That way, it's got great feedback. I love that feedback on the switches. Use Loctite on it because, it was easy to unscrew and screw more, and then you'd either be able to hit it or not hit it. And it was just, a pain. So I tried to make this as foolproof as possible. That's what I enjoyed doing for all of my installs. The setup for this is so great. Essentially, whenever these little plastic pieces come off, you have screws underneath each one. If you haven't seen Kr Sabers' assembly video, then this will be news to you. If you have seen it, then I'm just following up what he said, and you can turn off the video at any time. Only other thing you need to know is that the blade plug on this is gorgeous, wonderful. It's a big boy, and it covers up that entire section. Of course, you don't get much shine through at all. You can kind of see it if you look at it just right. I know a lot of people will set it up a little higher so they can see it. Me personally, I don't care. It's accurate and it's beautiful and it's highly polished. I mean, Jesus. Look, you can see me. It's just like, kind of paradox is that, right? Sorry, had my coffee. I'm going good now. So the setup for this is beautiful. Essentially you undo these 3 screws, and I adhered these on with the E6000, so they're easy enough to remove and easy enough to put back on and clean up and all that. So you remove those. Of course, you're going to have these off as well, and then this slides off. And then you have another set screw for that U-shaped holder for the switches. And then you also have another set screw in this general area for the LED retention. It's just, the setup is just perfect. It really is. There is no other way to do this Hilt. As far as installability goes, this is leaps and bounds better than the Corbanth. Now for getting the shroud back on securely, I always loosen the screw a little bit that's in there, because you can see the screw. I'll go ahead and show you. That was a little louder than expected. That little screw right there, it pretty much serves as a tensioner, I guess you could say. A friction fit, as you will, maybe. It's easier to see in better lighting. But yeah, with NeoPixel, should get about an hour or so worth of battery life out of this. Great belt hanger. One thing I have noticed with this is, depending on how tight you make this screw, it'll be difficult to get the pommel off, which isn't really necessary. So like, I just tightened it up just a little bit more. That sucker is snug. Like, this is pretty much a mandatory Allen wrench for any type of work done on this. So I loosened it, comes off easy peasy. So just a future note to anybody who owns one of these installed, you can dial that in just right. Oh yeah, that's right, this is the blade retention screw, Allen head. I do love these boxes though, they're so fantastic. I did get the Qui-Gon as well, and I love the Qui-Gon. I waited so long for Kr Sabers to do another Qui-Gon run. This one I'm perfectly happy with parting with. I'll probably be posting it up for sale very, very soon. But the Qui-Gon, that's going to be with me. I did notice a couple blemishes, which, with how great these are in the price point, I mean, these were $200. Plus, about 30 to 40 for shipping, DHL. For $200, this is astoundingly good. Especially the fact that I just can't get over the fact that he fit a 28mm speaker in this. You're not going to get that with any other OWK right now. Not for this price point. I think that the orbital machining one was able to hold a 28 mil. But those, very limited quantity, very rare, very expensive. I've never seen one sell for under $1,000. Never. They're insanely rare. Ace Rocket, orbital machining, same person. One of the biggest names in freaking the Saber community. Like, they had this one run, just quick side note on how rare their stuff is. They done a limited run of, I think, 10. It was called the Black Mamba. And I think the pre-order for that was $300 to $3,500. Consisted of over like 140 different separate parts. Crazy curved hilt. I couldn't believe it. If you look at the Custom Saber Shop's Facebook page, they actually used one with a blade plug that was a pizza cutter and an ice cream scooper. It's the funniest thing I'd ever seen. Yeah, their work is astounding. I can say the same for Kr Sabers. Some of the best hilts. Like, if there's any hilts that I have the hardest time parting with, it's Kr Sabers hilts. I really like this one, but I've never been a huge, ginormous fan of Obi-Wan's TPM. I've always really, really liked it, but anybody who knows me knows that I love my thin necks, especially in ROTJ Luke. But, let's see, what else can I babble on about? Oh, the cube placement on this is fantastic. So these two little screws right here hold this in place, which you can align it perfectly to have it centered with that groove up there. So it's pretty close right now, but you could still dial it in a little better, which I might do before I sell it. Back to the blemishes. The only blemish I've seen on this is right here. You see there's a little bit of a plating issue, and considering this is chrome plated aluminum, there's really nothing you can do about that other than having it completely reworked. I don't care personally. That just makes it a little more unique to the person owning it, because it's not one of those things you see right off the bat, but whenever you look at it closely, and I tend to nitpick lightsabers a lot because I like them a lot, in case you haven't noticed. Yeah, I think that's about all I have to go over in this. Thank you, Kr Sabers, for a wonderful saber. Thank you, Goth3 Designs, for the wonderful chassis. Thank you, Stock, for the wonderful PCBs. And thank you guys for watching. Till the next time, may the Force be with you always.